And what we'd like to do is give them just each an opportunity, and you don't feel under any obligation to say any particular thing, but just briefly weigh in on just their experience from the other side of the door, so to speak, of having a group of lovely educators, yourselves.
I was intimidated a couple years ago when I first heard about it, before actually going into someone else's room. So when we were asked if we would have people come into our room, I was like, no. And then last year I got to actually observe and be in the shoes that you're in and see what that looked like, and then that definitely brought the intensity or the anxiety level down. So I think that helped me be willing to do this now. And then when I had people come in today, I only knew one person that was in there. But I was, first of all, relieved that you came to the hour that you did, because the hour that in my head I thought you were coming to, I had a kid I was really concerned about, who has some choice words sometimes. But so I was excited to have you come to the hour that you did come to, and it went really well. It was awesome to hear the feedback. I have not had a chance to look through the feedback sheets yet, but I'm looking forward to reading through them. But they gave me some things to think about that I hadn't thought about either in a while or haven't thought about ever before. So I thought that constructive criticism part was very helpful.
So I actually am usually way more comfortable than what I was today. We've done it quite a bit. We've been doing this, I think, since we met you, so 3 years ago or whatever. But today's my situation. I just met the kids that I was teaching. I met them yesterday. I truly didn't know. I really knew maybe through 2 names of kids in the class. So it was, it was a difficult. Oh, so because my role in my role in the building is I'm the literacy teacher. So I go into classrooms when they're gonna kind of push it a little bit with the reading and writing and go in and help kind of teach strategies and things like that. So. Mrs. Jones said was concerned that her second hour is a very difficult hour, so she wanted some moral support. And so then once I was there, I see that some of that why it's a little bit of a difficult hour. So that was just uncomfortable. I had no idea what to expect from the kids, and so it was a little more uncomfortable than it normally is. But like I said, we really sort of built that culture here, and. Usually usually feels really good. So.
I'm Mary Kay Bollinger. I'm a science teacher, and I taught for 4 years in a private school in the Detroit area. So when I came here, the culture is very different here. It is very collaborative, and it's been that way. I've been here for 22 years, and it's a place where you're used to people being in and out of your classroom a lot. And the past few years, I had the opportunity to participate in the TLT training at the ISD and to visit other schools. I went to Hazlitt High School when they had a day like this, and I had the opportunity to visit somebody's classroom, and that was really important to me. So I volunteered because I knew that really made a difference for me, so I thought it was my turn to give back. But we've done observations with each other often. And I learned a lot from that. The first time I did it, I was so super nervous and I over-planned, and I thought about, what am I going to do and how am I going to pair up 1s and 2s and make sure that each kid gets a chance to talk and how am I doing that? And then the second time I did it, it was like, oh, I'm just going to do what I normally do. And today, that's how I felt. I was a little more nervous because I didn't know anybody, and so who was going to be there, and nobody likes to be judged, so that was always tough. But I didn't do anything different from what I would normally do, which is, I guess, a good thing.
That is a good thing. It's a very good thing. That's exactly what we're doing.
I noticed that warm feedback was really easy for the people that were there. Cool feedback was more difficult.
Yep.
But I noticed on your sheets you had some really good feedback for me. I mean, really, we all want to hear we're doing a great job, but really the reason we do it is because we want to get better. So we really want the cool feedback. Think about yourself, right? You want that cool feedback. And so even though I love hearing all of the good things that people noticed, I'm really very interested in their questions and their suggestions, and looked through the feedback sheets and noticed there was some really good suggestions there. So I want to thank you for that.
I wasn't nervous because I was expecting them to come in my second half of my lesson, and there you were. So it was awesome, and I had a really cool group that came through. I'm also teaching, it was my second hour, and they're just amazing, amazing humans. They're in kind of an experimental way of developing or delivering our curriculum this year, and sweet babies think they're guinea pigs, and they're 100% correct, but they're just rising to it with all sorts of greatness. So thank you for coming in. Thank you for coming in that one specifically. Thank you for making the trek across the street, you know, and out of your way a little bit. But I wanted you to be able to see our new campus, and I wanted you to see that that these can go all the way through. I had some seniors and sweet babies, they could not help themselves. They had to raise their hand, and they had to, but I had it so the National Day of Writing is on Monday, and we're going to write about our community, so we had to learn. I used the Friar model for the vocabulary, and we were doing that when they came in, and so that was a new thing I hadn't done with them, so they rose to that occasion, and we had fun, which we try to make as much learning fun as possible, and then they transitioned really nicely too. But the thing is that I wanted to give back because I went to Mason and it was awesome, and I felt very enriched, and thank you for how you've changed my teaching for the better. So I wanted to give back, but then I also thought that it would be really neat for me because I do these things, but I haven't been as intentional this year. I haven't talked to the kids about the terms that I know to talk. I was just doing them, and not all of them. And so thank you for coming back and reminding me that my students need to not have the option to opt out. And thank you for helping me remember it needs to be explicit. So just doing it's not enough. I need to kind of share with them what we're doing. So thank you for coming in.
So I think this group in particular is really great at articulating kind of the metacognitive processes that teachers go through prior to being watched by other people. And as the building coach, I get to observe during these days, but most of the teachers touch base with me beforehand to kind of run by what they're going to do, so I kind of get a little peek into their brain of where are they in their thinking about this whole process. And one of the things that I've come to realize is, number one, teachers have an amazing repertoire of strategies that they have filed away and what's really successful and what's not, and they have go-to buckets that they're ready to grab from. But teachers have amazingly high expectations for themselves, and yet they're exceedingly gracious to other people. And this is what I feel like this situation really highlights for me, is how our teachers really want to illustrate the best bucket they have that day, but at the same time, those observing are very gracious in recognizing, oh, you have one of those kids in the back. Like, we all are in this together. We recognize we're a community. And,
right. Major similarities there.
Right. We all recognize, like, our situations aren't so different regardless of what building we're in. And I find that these tend to be very community building days, and that we share this experience of the anxiety beforehand, but also the relief and community that comes afterwards when we realize we're kind of in it together, and we are, even though we hold ourselves to high expectations and we judge ourselves so harshly, we're a very gracious group when it comes to our conversations afterwards, which I find to be very amazing for our profession.
I'm just looking forward. I've recently, my assignment as a coach shifted, and so I really have a vision that we start doing some cross-grade learning walks, and sometimes it's a little different, like today, in that we are with people that we don't know so well, but when we have the ability to get some long-term relationship and relationships that we trust, professional relationships where our trust is in place, it is so exciting to see how much can happen district-wide. And so I'm really hoping that we can do some cross-building, and I talked to Karen about that, just the logistics of getting that all in place. But it's amazing, like Jessica said, how much professional educators know to do, and for us to remember it's not by accident, that it's intentional, and whether or not the learning walk reminds us of something we already knew but we forgot to use in a while, or maybe it's something brand new that it's just great to be on both sides of the learning.